Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. We are moving on to our next new concept, I guess, but it's still dealing with setting up proportions for triangles. So first of all, let's practice triangle proportionality here in this warm-up and solve for the side that they're asking or figure out if they're parallel. Okay, so we are going to be using proportional relationships, and basically we're going to be taking some story problems and turning them into figures and then finding our similar sides, setting up proportions and solving. Okay, so it's just going to be a matter of being able to pull the correct information out of these story problems. Okay, so here's an example of one, finding an unknown height. And this one, they've already drawn the diagram. But in order to find the height of a palm tree, you measure out the tree's shadow. Okay, and then you measure the shadow cast by a meter stick, because this is a meter stick, 1 meter, and cast the shadow there. And we use those to be able to find what the height of the tree is. So notice you have a height and height, a shadow and a shadow, and then you're going to set up your proportion and solve it. So I'm actually going to pull up this other, we'll zoom in here quite a bit. So again, like we have been doing, we're going to keep the same sides the same. So height and shadow. So we are going to say the height over the shadow for the small triangle. And we're going to call this X, the height over the shadow for the big triangle. And then we are going to cross multiply and solve. So 1.6 times X is 1.6X. 7.2 times 1 is 7.2. We are going to divide by 1.6. And we find that it is 4.5. So your answer would be 4.5 meters. And for most of what we're doing, you are going to have to remember to do your units, whether it's feet or meters or inches or whatever it might be, you are going to have to remember to put that on there. Okay, so here is another example. Excuse me. Sid is 72 inches tall. To measure a flagpole, Sid stands near the flag. Sid's friend Miranda measures his shadow and the flagpole's shadow. So find the height of the flagpole. Okay. So again, let me pull this one up. Here we go. So this is obviously Sid, right? This is Sid. So we have height and height. And we have shadow and shadow. So again, we're going to take 72 over 48 and X or H over 128. Doesn't matter what you choose to do. Oh, I'm frozen really fast. Just a second. There we go. Okay, so 72 over 48, X or H over 128. Notice that everything is in inches. You have to make sure everything is in the same unit. So now we're going to cross multiply. 48 times X is 48X. And then we're going to take 72 times 128. We get 9,216. And we are going to divide by 48. And X is equal to 192. So that tells us that the flagpole is 192 inches. Okay, again, make sure you're remembering your units. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys practice this one on your own. Okay, practice. It's already pretty much set up. Liam versus the tree. Okay, and you're going to be solving for the height of the tree. So go ahead and take a second to figure out what H is going to be. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit different type of a similar triangle. It's the same, it just looks a little bit different. Instead of having two separate triangles, we're going to be doing ones that are connected. Okay, so this is basically called finding unknown distance. A hiker wants to find the distance D across a canyon. She locates points as described. So she says X is her landmark. Y is directly across the canyon. Here's the canyon, right? That little blacked out area. At Y, she turns 90 degrees and walks away from X 400 feet in a straight line. She places Z there. She continues walking 600 feet, places a marker there, turns 90 degrees, and walks until she gets to V, and she places a marker there. Okay? She needs to know, based on this diagram, how she can figure out the distance across the canyon. So let me pull up this other screen. So this should be fairly easy because it still is one triangle, two triangle. It's just in a little bit different of an orientation. So you have to recognize that these two sides right there are both bases, and that this side here and this side here are both heights. Okay, once you have that figured out, setting it up is exactly the same. So we could do this triangle first, 327 over 600, right? Height over base, and D over 400. Okay, make sure your heights are both on top, your bases are both on bottom. Once you have that, it's the exact same process that we have been using. So we are going to take 600 times D, which is 600D, 327 times 400, which is 130,800. We are going to divide by 600, and D is equal to 218 feet. So it is 218 feet across that canyon. All right, so let's look at this one. Again, this one is a little bit different of a format. Still the exact same process once we figure out what it is that we're looking for. So we should notice that 6 and 12 are our bases, and D and 12 are our sides, or our legs, whatever you want to call them, so that we would say D over 12 is equal to 12 over 6. D over 12, so pink over orange, pink over orange. Okay? Once you have that, again, we cross multiply. 6D equals 144. Divide by 6, and D is equal to 24. So that tells us that this is 24, and meters is the unit that we are using. Okay, 24 meters. Okay, I'm going to have you guys practice this on your own. We're going to do a few practices just to get some extra work before I turn you loose. So go ahead, set up your proportion and solve this. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Set up your proportion and solve. Okay, so let's try this one. See if you can figure out the sides that match up on each of the triangles. We have this triangle up here and this triangle right here. See if you can find this side right here. Alrighty, so here's another one. Jenny is 5.2 inches tall, or 5 feet 2 inches tall, sorry. And we need the height of the flagpole. So go ahead and see if you can figure out what that height of the flagpole is. Okay, I want to go over this one just because I feel like there are a few things that you could do to mess this one up. And one is that you notice that they are in more than one unit. So we have 15.5 feet, but we also have over here where we're talking in inches. So you need to either change everything to in terms of inches or everything in terms of feet. So I'm going to turn everything to inches because I feel like that's the easiest way to do it. So I am going to take 15.5 and times it by 12 inches. And that tells me that this right here is going to be 186 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to do this. So I don't need to do anything with the 2 because it's already in inches, but I need to find that 5 times 12 is 60 plus 2 means that this is 62 inches. And 7 times 12 is 84 plus the 9 inches makes this be 93 inches. So now I have it all in the same terminology, and so it makes it so much easier to do my solving. So I would have h over 186, 62 over 93. I'm going to cross multiply, and I get 11,532 divided by 93. And h is equal to 124 inches. Now, if at this time you wanted to go back and change it to feet, you could. Okay, you could go back and change it to feet. And let's see what we would get. 124 divided by 12. We would get 10 feet and 4 inches. So if you wanted to do that at the end, you could, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so when you're working with 2 different measures, that's what I would recommend doing. Okay, all right, last practice. Go ahead and check this one out. Again, you're going to be in 2 different measures, so you're probably going to want to go to the same measurement to figure it out. All right, so today you are going to do an exit ticket over this. There are 4 questions. You need to get a 3 out of 4 correct for credit, and just let me know if you have any questions as you're working through this, okay? Hopefully by this point you're setting proportions up. It's super easy for you, and then it's just a matter of doing the little bit of math that you have to do. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon.